Hey guys, welcome back to another video here on Toned In Entertainment where we love pop culture. Today, it's time for another comic book review. Now, when we left off with issue number 2, Val had shown Blacktop Bill what her interpretation was of the Big Bang. But was it enough to stop this menace? Well, let's get on with my comic book review of Nocterra Issue number 3. As issue 3 begins, we will get some more insight as to not only how the general public was trying to figure out what exactly was happening as the PM began, but also how Val and Em had to deal with the transformation of their parents. Now back here in present day, Val is doing her best Vin Diesel interpretation as she's trying to go fast and furious to escape the not left for dead Blacktop Bill. And while Val does have a few tricks up her sleeves on these roadways, nothing she seems to do can get rid of this madman, and all it seems to do is be giving him more ways to come up with, in his words, funner ways to kill them all. And with trick after trick falling short, this will give Blacktop Bill the opportunity to sink a couple of harpoon energy sappers into their truck, draining all their juice. And with the fate of everyone in the truck in peril, that's when the doc decides it's in everyone's best interest if he sacrifices himself. But before he does, he hands over his book to his granddaughter Bailey that he believes can not only get them through this, but might even lead to better days. But even though she'll have the book in her possession, she'll still have to get it to his brother, as he's the only one that can decipher it. Now, while the doc lays out his challenge, it's only going to take Blacktop Bill a mere seconds to sink his hooks into him. Now, it looked like Bailey could have been Blacktop Bill's second victim, but luckily for her, Val is there to swoop her up just a fraction of a second before she would suffer the same fate as her grandfather. Now, Val and what's left of her crew will be able to make an escape, but at the expense of dropping all their defenses. Now, once things calm down again, we catch up with Blacktop Bill, who's got the doc clinging for his life. Through a conversation between Blacktop Bill and the doc, this is where Blacktop Bill will tell him it's not every day that a guy gets to speak to one of his makers. And while the doc was against what was done to Blacktop Bill, it wasn't because of humanitarian reasons, but because the doc feared that he would enjoy this new entity too much. And while the doc will try and tell Blacktop Bill that he didn't give his granddaughter the real book, Blacktop Bill, well, he's not gonna buy it. And for the doc's punishment, he's gonna keep the doc here until he shades out, and he'll do all the dirty work for him. Now, as for Val and Bailey, they've been able to find safe refuge, at least for the time being, in an old tourist attraction called the Cave of Palms. But unfortunately for Em, the sands of time are ticking away at a rapid pace as his transformation continues to accelerate. And while Bailey and Val will have a few moments to get to know one another just a little bit better, when Em awakens, his last words in human form will be to Val, "I love you too." But his first words when he opens his eyes and reveals his now yellow iris and distorted pupils is, "I love you with all my heart." Now, if you guys have seen my past 2 reviews for Nocterra, I really did love issue number 1, and I really enjoyed issue number 2. And honestly, I think Nocterra issue number 3 has been my favorite issue thus far, and really, I found no flaws in this issue, so my score for Nocterra issue number 3 is going to be a 10 out of 10. Writer Scott Snyder does everything flawlessly here, in my opinion, in issue number 3. He fills us in on some moments of backstory that will help us understand the events of the present. Then he'll thrust us into a game of cat and mouse between Val and her crew versus Blacktop Bill and his thugs. And when all is said and done, we'll feel the pain that Bailey is going through with dealing with the loss of her grandfather, as well as the pain of Val having to deal with what she knows could be the last moments that she'll have with her brother before he makes a turn to the dark side. Now, with it just being Val and Bailey left, will they be able to find the doc's brother? And if they do, will he be able to make use of this book? Well, we're just gonna have to wait and see when issue number 4 of Nocterra is released on June 2nd. Alright guys, well that's going to wrap up my comic book review for Nocterra issue number 3. Now if you've been reading this series, what are your thoughts? Comment down below. And guys, if you like comic book reviews and all things pop culture, take a look around here on the channel. There's a ton of content, and make sure you stay tuned in here to Toned In Entertainment for for future videos.
Subscribe to the channel. Do it. Go now. Do it now.